I got tagged in a post in my group, and this is what the woman shared in her post. I have never established a connection with my son. I was depressed throughout his pregnancy. I didn't want him. I was depressed after his birth. I did not want him. I was depressed while raising him. I didn't want him. He felt like a brother, a burden, an unwanted guest in my house, a painful thorn under my soul. I wasn't able to love him like a parent would a child. I created emotional distance between us and never offered him compassion and warmth. I shouted at him all the time. I refused to understand him. I was cold. I neglected him and never prioritized him. He was an afterthought. By the way, I didn't play with him. I didn't laugh with him. I didn't eat with him. I didn't watch or listen to anything with him. I would go on everywhere without him. I didn't spend time with him. I didn't empathize with him. I was a stone-faced bitch to whom always told him no. Whew. I didn't want him. I couldn't stand him. I didn't fulfill his obligations on time. It took me a little too long to notice he needed a haircut or new clothes, or for me to see his shoes were worn. A little too long to buy him a toy. I took a little too long to pay attention to him. I ignored him from the day of his birth. I have been unkind to him, treated everyone else kindly, and I was mean to him. I have kept him at a great distance. He doesn't call me mom. He calls me by my name, which I won't mention, because instead of treating him like my child, I've treated everybody else. I've treated him like anybody else. It's not once that curious people have inquired if he is a pesky little brother or my own child, because we don't have a mother-child bond. Anyone can see he's an angry 8-year-old. He is deep-seated anger in him, a perfect reflection of the anger I have for him that I felt for myself. I refuse to face my own anger and unleash it on him instead. I blame him for my own insecurities, and I blame him for my mistakes. I punish him for the life I had. As a result, I have solely made him an anxious, cantankerous child. How long does postpartum depression last? I googled the other day, because try as hard as I may, my feelings for him haven't changed. It has lasted too long. I still don't know how to care for him. My mother is a better mother to him. In fact, she's the best and only mother he has ever really known. For the last few months, because of quarantine, we've had to live together under the same roof, and that is the longest time in the 8 years that I have spent with him. I don't love my son. I am tired of hurting him. And guess what, ladies? I felt exactly the same towards my firstborn son. And I'm going to share that story, and I'm going to tell you how I figured out how to heal and how to love him. So here we go. As many of you may know, I was a single mom. I really don't like to talk about it because I don't like to tell people that, oh, you know, his dad was an asshole or a deadbeat dad and all those things, because I've come to a place where I understand that regardless of what happened, he is a broken vessel. We don't just inherit things genetically or property-wise, we inherit emotionally and experience-wise. He inherited his own father's pain and he kept passing it on, and that's what happens. We don't just inherit property and businesses and money. We inherit our parents' experiences, our parents' pain or joy, because a lot of these things come with exposure. Now, I was 24 when I had my son. I was a single mom. I had gone through so much already. I had been in an abusive relationship. I had been raped. So when I took off to go and just to run away from my situation, what usually happens to us is just because you ran away doesn't mean you leave the thing behind. You take it with you because it's an experience. So you run away and you take that experience with you. And when I went where I went, which was Tanzania at the time, I took that pain and that brokenness with me. And while I was there, I was behaving and acting in a way that could only tell you that I was broken, I was shattered, I was damaged. I was drinking, I was having sex casually, I was doing drugs, I was living carelessly, hoping that I would just die, really, is what I was hoping. I met my son's biological father there. It was during some concert or something, and I wouldn't say kicked it off, we just had a connection, and between us it was more of just a physical thing. And to be honest with you, if I can completely and honestly be real, I found myself in a relationship with him. It wasn't something I was planning on. I was still with other people because there was nothing for me that felt real enough to commit. I was still running. I was still just hopping around trying to find that fix, trying to find something. I found myself pregnant. And when I did find myself pregnant, I talk about this more in the book, so you'd have to read the book. I talk about all my pain and how I had my son in the book. I'm not going to go into details about that. While I was pregnant, I was going through a lot of rejection because, of course, the baby daddy wasn't ready for that. And I wasn't ready to get married. Hell no, I didn't like this guy. He was emotionally abusive. Of course, he's broken, people. So I went through so much pain with him. And I had already been broken, and then it was an addition of this pain and rejection. So when my son came around, the minute he was born in the hospital, they asked me to hold him, and I said no. I didn't touch him right after birth. I was, first of all, exhausted and traumatized at the birth experience. I went through postpartum depression for sure. I could not breastfeed my son. I could not embrace him. I could not love him because I really was traumatized. I was broken. I was shattered. And then there was this guy who would keep saying, I'll be there, but never was. That whole thing, I started to take it out on my son. And as much as I tried to love my son, I just couldn't love him until I had to wake up one day and look at the reality of he's a human being. I was blessed to have him. I could have had death, but God gave me life through my son, and it was time to change. But at the same time, I just didn't know how. And then I started to see that it was a matter of healing. It was a matter of healing and ensuring that those wounds are healed and sealed up so that I'm not bleeding all over people. Imagine this is you. You are this pure creature and you come into this world and things start to happen to you. So here you are. You're good, you're pure, and that's how you're born and created. And then you come in and criticism maybe from your parents starts, and then people, whatever, your teachers, the kids that bully you, and then here you are eventually with this man who says he loves you or whatever, has a kid with you, and then rejects you. What is happening here is all of that pain, all of that is just you cut, broken, shattered, and bleeding all over. A wounded vessel. This is you right now. Completely shattered, completely opened, just raw, bleeding out. And you see, the thing is, whether it's words that are told to you or whether you're rejected because you have a child with somebody you thought you liked or you thought you loved and now they don't want you, it doesn't matter. That doesn't stay up here. It affects the whole being. So your mind, your body, your soul bleeds. What happens next? We stay that way. And if we stay that way, what happens to our children? Should we have children? This is what happens when you are a wounded vessel. And then you have kids. So this is you, this is your child. Again. See what's happened there? Your child then inherits your pain. This is your child. They didn't do anything, but you pour that pain into them. The pain that was poured into you through other people. And this goes on and on and on until we learn to love ourselves. We allow God to heal us and pour love into us. It is impossible for her. It was impossible for me to love him as much as I wanted and tried until I could heal, close up those wounds, and then love myself, or rather first allow myself to be loved by God, learn to love myself, and then I could pour that love out into others. Now I'm going to do something crazy here. I'm going to take you to the bathroom with me, and I'm going to take this. This is us, remember? This is us moms, single moms, wounded, hurting. Bear with me, guys. Wounded and hurting. This wasn't really part of the plan. That's why it looks so crazy. You're wounded, you're hurting as a mom. You're single. So this is you, bleeding. I'm going to put this here. I'm going to open up the tap. So this is what happens when you heal and when you allow love to be poured into you. Eventually, you start to clear up. When you love yourself, when you allow God to love you, when those wounds start being healed, look what happens. You start to clear up, you start to heal, you start to be whole again, you start to be something resembling what you were in the beginning. You start to become yourself, you start to be pure again, you start to be complete. And that's what a lot of us don't have. When you're like that and your cup runneth over, as you can see this one is doing, then that pure love, that wholesome, nourishing love pours onto other people. The people we work with, the kids we teach at school, our own children, our spouses, and everybody else. And eventually, that water, you, once again, can be somebody who can be put out in society, can be partaken of, and you can nourish yourself, you can nourish others with life, and of course, we become whole, we become clean, we become clear. And all of that pain, all of that sadness, all of that brokenness is taken out. So ladies, single moms, if that is you, if that was you, this wounded, broken vessel that has also wounded and broken their child and the people around them, we have to find a way to heal. And one of the ways is in 1, acknowledging what happened to us, 2, forgiving the people who did those things to us, and forgiving ourselves, and then 3, starting to love ourselves. And one of the only ways I can truly share is 1, finding the love of God. That love of God will heal you, and then you will start to love yourself. The reason why I said I'm going to talk about unlocking self-love is because those particular journals have these prompts that allow you to start doing just that, unlocking that self-love and finding yourself in a place where you'll start loving yourself, starting to heal even more. And this paired with that book will be an absolute life changer. And those are available at 2,000 shillings. I'm going to share here where you can get them. Just call that number and make an order, because these things are so important. And I want to tell that mom that it's not postpartum depression. You are a broken, bleeding vessel. And that wound needs to be healed. It needs to be sewn shut. It needs to be disinfected. It needs to be detoxicated. You know, the dead flesh needs to be cut away. You need to be put back together. You need to be poured into with love, pure love that comes from God, and then learn to love yourself. And only then can your cup overflow with such pure and amazing love that it pours onto your child. Hope this has been helpful information. Please do follow me on Instagram, Kariba, Facebook, the To Kariba page. And also, please tell me if this has been helpful to you. Let me know, are you a single mom who's also gone through this kind of pain and brokenness? And let me know what it's been like for you. Let me know where you are in this stage of life, and let me know if this is helpful information. Also, if you've healed, share tips on what you did so others can learn and live. Thank you so much, and God bless you.